What happens when Hollywood's most adored actress steps into what she expects to be a routine, friendly interview, only to find herself in the eye of a storm? Jennifer Lawrence thought she was heading to The View to promote her latest film. But Joy Behar had an entirely different plan. What started as ordinary questions quickly turned into a tense confrontation that left the studio audience frozen. By the end, one woman would storm off the set, while the other would face millions of viewers defending her words. Curious to see how this explosive moment unfolded? Stick around and don't forget to subscribe, and drop your thoughts on the most shocking celebrity interviews you've ever seen. The morning at The View began like any other. Jennifer Lawrence walked in with her trademark confidence, clad in a sleek black blazer, her signature smile lighting up the studio. For years, these promotional interviews had been routine, an opportunity to share projects and connect with fans. But today, something felt different. As Jennifer settled into her chair, she immediately noticed Joy Behar's expression. There was no warmth, no welcoming grin. Instead, Joy sat rigid, papers shuffled in front of her, wearing a smile that sent an unmistakable chill down the room. "Welcome back to The View, everyone. We're here with Jennifer Lawrence," Joy began, her voice sharp, carrying an unmistakable edge. "Jennifer, thanks for joining us, though I must say some of your recent comments have caught my attention." Jennifer's smile flickered. "Thanks, Joy. I'm excited to talk about the new film." "Oh, we'll get to that," Joy waved dismissively. "But first, let's discuss your comments on the Hollywood wage gap. You've been very vocal about being underpaid compared to your male co-stars." Carefully, Jennifer replied, "Well, yes, I think it's important to talk about equality in the workplace." Joy leaned forward, her tone dripping with mockery. "Equality? Jennifer, you made $25 million last year. Most Americans would kill for even a fraction of that. Don't you think complaining about your salary seems a little tone deaf?" The studio fell silent. Jennifer's publicist shifted uneasily, knowing this wasn't the interview anyone had anticipated. "I think you're missing the point," Jennifer said, steadying her voice. "This isn't about the dollar amount. It's about the principle of equal pay for equal work." Joy scoffed, rolling her eyes. "Oh, please, you're one of the highest paid actresses in the world, and you sit here talking like a victim. Do you have any idea how that sounds to single mothers working 2 jobs just to put food on the table?" Jennifer's jaw tightened. "Joy, I never said I was a victim. I'm pointing out a systemic issue that affects all women, not just me. Success doesn't mean I stay silent about inequality." Joy's voice rose, sharp and accusatory. "You voluntarily signed those contracts, Jennifer. No one forced you. You had agents, lawyers, managers. If you felt you were worth more, why didn't you negotiate better?" The other co-hosts exchanged uneasy glances. Whoopi Goldberg attempted to step in. "Maybe we should let her answer." But Joy wasn't done. "I want to hear how someone who's made millions feels justified complaining about her paycheck." Jennifer's face flushed, but she held her ground. "Negotiation happens within a system where women are already at a disadvantage. When men negotiate, they're praised as strong business people. When women do, we're labeled difficult or demanding." Joy threw her hands up in exasperation. "Here we go again with the victim narrative. Jennifer, you're a grown woman who made choices. Own them. Don't blame society." "I'm not playing the victim," Jennifer fired back, her voice straining but resolute. "I'm using my platform to shine a light on issues that affect women across industries, not just in Hollywood." Joy laughed harshly, the sound reverberating through the studio. "Your platform, Jennifer? Your platform is built on playing make-believe for a living. You dress up, pretend to be someone else. Maybe stick to that instead of lecturing the world about workplace equality." The tension in the room was palpable. Every eye was on Jennifer. Every heartbeat in the studio seemed to pause. What would she do next? The audience gasped, the sound echoing through the studio. Jennifer's hands clenched tightly in her lap, knuckles white against her dark pants. "That's incredibly dismissive," she said, her voice edged with steel. "Acting is my profession, and like any profession, it deserves respect. More importantly, having a public platform comes with responsibility, whether you're an actor, a talk show host, or anyone whose voice is heard." Joy's eyes narrowed. Responsibility? Like being grateful for opportunities most people will never have. Like not biting the hand that feeds you. "The hand that feeds me?" Jennifer repeated, incredulous. "Joy, I work for my success. I've been acting since I was 14. Every opportunity I've had has come from dedication, hard work, and yes, maybe a little luck." "Luck?" Joy interjected coldly. "Let's not forget luck. Plenty of talented people never make it. You won the genetic lottery with your looks and happened to be discovered at the right time. Don't pretend it's all merit." Jennifer stared at her in disbelief. "I can't believe what I'm hearing right now." "Believe it," Joy said, leaning back, a self-satisfied smirk spreading across her face. "You're privileged, Jennifer. Extraordinarily privileged. And watching you complain about getting paid millions instead of slightly more millions? It's nauseating." Jennifer's voice trembled with controlled anger. "This interview is supposed to be about my new film. Why are you attacking me personally?" "I'm not attacking you," Joy replied, her tone deceptively sweet. "I'm asking you to have perspective, humility, and awareness of how your complaints sound to people struggling to pay rent." Jennifer took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. "I understand I'm fortunate. I've never denied that. But fortune doesn't disqualify me from advocating for fairness. If anything, it gives me more responsibility to speak up." "Speak up?" Joy's voice dripped with disdain. "Jennifer, you're not Rosa Parks. You're not fighting for civil rights. You're a millionaire actress upset that you didn't get a bigger piece of an already enormous pie." The words hit Jennifer like a slap. Her face went pale, then flushed red with anger. "How dare you," she said, quiet but powerful enough to silence the studio. "How dare you compare my situation to civil rights leaders and mock it? You've diminished both my concerns and their legacy in one sentence." Joy's smile wavered briefly before snapping back into place. "Oh, so now I'm not allowed to point out the obvious difference between real struggles and Hollywood problems?" "You're allowed to point out whatever you want," Jennifer shot back, her voice growing stronger. "But don't tell me what I can or cannot care about. Don't tell me that success means I have to stay silent about injustice." "Injustice?" Joy laughed, a harsh, grating sound that filled the studio. "Jennifer, do you hear yourself? You're calling contract negotiations injustice while people are fighting for basic human rights across the globe." Jennifer's chair rolled back as she stood abruptly, determination blazing in her eyes. "That's it. That's exactly the problem. You're telling me I can't care about multiple issues at once. You're telling me that because I'm successful, I should shut up and just be grateful. That's not how progress works, Joy." "Sit down," Joy commanded sharply. "We're not done here." "Actually, we are," Jennifer snapped, standing tall. "I came here to talk about my work, not to be lectured by someone who clearly has no interest in a real conversation." Joy's face darkened. "Excuse me? I'm conducting this interview, not you. This is my show." "Then conduct it professionally," Jennifer fired back. "Stop grandstanding for your audience and actually engage with what I'm saying instead of twisting my words." The other co-host sat frozen, unsure whether to intervene, while the cameras kept rolling, capturing every electrifying second. "Grandstanding?" Joy's voice rose almost to a shout. "I'm asking legitimate questions about your public statements, and you can't handle it because no one's ever challenged you before." "Nobody's ever challenged me?" Jennifer's eyes blazed. "Joy, I've been in the public eye for 15 years. I've faced criticism, scrutiny, and judgment every single day. I've been challenged constantly. Don't you dare suggest otherwise. The studio held its breath. The tension was electric. The battle lines were drawn, and everyone watching knew they were witnessing a confrontation that would go down in talk show history. "But what you're doing isn't challenging me," Jennifer said, her voice sharp and steady. "It's ambushing me, an ambush." Joy rose to her feet, matching Jennifer's posture, eyes flashing. "I'm asking you to defend your positions. If you can't do that, maybe you shouldn't take those positions publicly." "I can defend my positions," Jennifer replied, her tone unwavering. "Equal pay for equal work isn't radical. It's basic fairness. The fact that you're framing it as entitled Hollywood whining says more about you than it does about me." Joy's nostrils flared. "Don't lecture me about fairness, young lady. I've been working in television longer than you've been alive. I fought real battles for women's rights, not complained about getting 8 figures instead of 9. I respect that," Jennifer said, surprising everyone with the calm sincerity in her voice. "Truly I do, but your experience doesn't give you the right to dismiss other women's experiences. It should make you more understanding, not more judgmental." For a brief moment, Joy seemed taken aback, but her hostility returned instantly. "Understanding of what? Your struggle to buy a third mansion?" The cheap shot stung. Jennifer's composure cracked for just a heartbeat. "You know what, Joy? This isn't about money, and you know it. This is about respect, about recognition, about the principle that talent and contribution, not gender, should determine compensation." "Principle?" Joy scoffed. "Jennifer, you live in a bubble. You have assistants who manage your life, stylists who dress you, drivers who take you everywhere. Don't talk to me about principles when you've never lived in the real world." Jennifer's eyes narrowed, ice in her gaze. "The real world, Joy? I grew up in Kentucky. My family struggled. I worked multiple jobs before my first acting role. I know exactly what the real world looks like, and I know how lucky I am to have escaped it. But escaping it doesn't mean I abandon everyone still in it." "Oh, please," Joy waved dismissively. "You were 14 when you started acting. You've been coddled by Hollywood your entire adult life." "Coddled?" Jennifer's voice cracked with disbelief. "Joy, do you have any idea what it's like to be a young woman in this industry? Do you know about casting couches, inappropriate comments, constant judgment of your appearance? The eating disorders, the anxiety, the pressure to be perfect every single moment?" Joy rolled her eyes dramatically. "Spare me the sob story." "You're right," Jennifer said, her voice calm but icy. "Every industry has challenges, but not every industry pays women 77 cents for every dollar a man earns. Not every industry has such glaring, documented disparities measured in actual numbers." "Those statistics are misleading," Joy shot back. "They don't account for different roles, experience levels, or negotiating skills." Jennifer stared at her in disbelief. "Different negotiating skills?" "Joy, listen to yourself. You're literally proving my point. You're saying women are paid less because they're worse at negotiating, not because they're valued less." "Maybe they are worse at negotiating," Joy shrugged. "Maybe they need to learn to stand up for themselves instead of complaining afterward." The studio audience murmured, shifting uncomfortably. Even the production assistants exchanged worried glances. "Stand up for themselves?" Jennifer repeated slowly, each word deliberate. "Joy, what do you think I'm doing right now? Speaking out about pay equity?" "Yes, exactly that," Joy said, voice rising. "Standing up for yourself and every other woman who's been told to just be grateful for whatever scraps they're offered." "Scraps?" Jennifer's tone was firm. "You call $25 million scraps?" "Yes, I do. It's not about the absolute number. It's about the relative value of our contributions compared to our male colleagues." Joy shook her head, disgust apparent. This is exactly what's wrong with your generation. Everything has to be perfectly equal, perfectly fair. Life isn't fair. Business isn't fair. Deal with it. Life isn't fair, Jennifer countered, voice steady and resolute. But that doesn't mean we should stop trying to make it fairer. That's the point of progress. That's why we have laws against discrimination. The room was silent, every eye fixed on Jennifer. Every heartbeat felt magnified. It wasn't just an interview anymore, it was a battle for principle, for respect, for the truth. That's why we fight for civil rights. That's why people like you supposedly got into journalism in the first place. The barb landed hard. Joy's face flushed red. Don't you dare question my journalism credentials, you little princess. The insult hung in the air like a toxic cloud. Jennifer went very still. Her expression shifted from anger to something far more dangerous. Little princess, she repeated quietly, each word measured. Did you just call me a little princess on national television? The studio went dead silent. Even the camera operators seemed to hold their breath. Joy realized she had crossed a line, but her pride wouldn't let her back down. If the shoe fits, Joy said defiantly, though the confidence had left her voice. Jennifer stepped closer, her voice dropping to a whisper that somehow carried more menace than any shout. Let me tell you something about this little princess, Joy. This little princess has worked 18-hour days since she was 14. She's battled anxiety so severe she couldn't leave her house some days. She's had grown men comment on her body since she was barely legal. She's been called difficult, demanding, ungrateful, for asking to be treated equally to her male colleagues. Joy shifted uncomfortably, but tried to maintain her defiant posture. Everyone has problems, Jennifer, she said. You're right, Jennifer replied, eerily calm. Everyone has problems. But not everyone has the platform to address them. Not everyone has the privilege of being heard. So when someone like me speaks up about inequality, it's not whining, it's responsibility. Responsibility to whom? Joy challenged, her voice noticeably quieter. To every young actress who will come after me, Jennifer said, passion rising even as her tone remained controlled. To every woman in every industry told to be grateful for less. To my younger self who signed contracts without understanding her worth because no one taught her better. Joy tried to regain control. Look, Jennifer, all I'm saying is context matters. Perspective matters. Jennifer's voice rose, cutting through the tension like a blade. You want context, Joy? Here's some context for you. While you sit here attacking me for speaking out about pay equity, there are actresses right now in meetings with producers, being offered a fraction of what their male co-stars make. And they stay silent because they've watched interviews like this one, where successful women are torn down for daring to ask for equal treatment. That's not what I'm doing, Joy protested. Isn't it? Jennifer challenged, eyes blazing. You just called me entitled, ungrateful, privileged, and a little princess for daring to say I deserve equal pay for equal work. How is that not tearing me down? Joy glanced around the studio, finally realizing the weight of the moment. The audience, the co-hosts, even the production staff, all eyes were on her, expressions ranging from disappointment to disgust. I'm just trying to provide balance to the conversation, Joy mumbled. Balance. Jennifer laughed, but there was no humor. Joy, there's a difference between balance and hostility, between playing devil's advocate and personal attacks. You've spent this entire interview trying to diminish my concerns instead of engaging with them. I have engaged with them, Joy insisted, desperation creeping in. No, Jennifer said firmly. You've made assumptions about my character, dismissed my experiences, mocked my concerns. That's not journalism, Joy. That's bullying. The word hit Joy like a physical blow. Bullying? I'm not bullying you. I'm challenging you, she said, defensive. You're challenging me? Jennifer repeated incredulously. Joy, you've called me tone deaf, entitled, lucky, privileged, ungrateful, and a little princess. You've mocked my profession, dismissed my work ethic, minimized my experiences. You've compared my advocacy to complaining and suggested I should just shut up and be grateful. If that's your idea of challenging someone, I'd hate to see what you consider an attack. Joy opened her mouth to respond, but no words came. For the first time in the interview, she was genuinely speechless. Jennifer pressed on, her voice calm but cutting. And you know what's really sad about this, Joy? You're a woman. The room seemed to shrink around them. Every eye fixed, every camera lens focused, capturing a moment that felt less like an interview and more like history unfolding live. A woman in media, Jennifer continued, her voice cutting through the tension. An industry with its own long history of gender inequality. You should understand better than anyone what I'm talking about. Instead, you're reinforcing the same attitudes that have held women back for decades. I've fought for women's rights my entire career, Joy said weakly. Have you? Jennifer asked pointedly. Or have you fought only for women who look like you, sound like you, agree with you? Right now you're attacking a woman for advocating equality. You're telling her to be quiet and grateful. How is that fighting for women's rights? Joy's face went pale. The fight seemed to drain out of her. I just think there are more important issues. More important to whom? Jennifer demanded. More important than equality? More important than fairness? More important than making sure talented women are valued the same as talented men? Joy grasped at one last argument. There are wars, poverty, real injustices happening. Jennifer shook her head in disbelief. Joy, do you realize what you just did? You used the existence of other problems to dismiss this one. By that logic, we should never address anything unless it's the single biggest issue in the world. That's not how progress works. That's not how society improves. Joy stared down at her desk, unable to meet Jennifer's gaze. Jennifer's voice softened slightly, though it remained firm. I came here excited to talk about my work, to connect with your audience, to share something I care about. Instead, I've been put through an interview that felt more like an interrogation. You questioned my character, my motivations, and my right to speak about issues that affect millions of women. She paused, scanning the studio one last time. You know what, Joy? You're right about one thing. I am privileged. I am extraordinarily lucky. I am grateful every single day for the opportunities I've had. But my privilege doesn't disqualify me from caring about equality. If anything, it obligates me to care more. Turning to the camera, Jennifer addressed viewers directly. To anyone watching who's ever been told they're too successful to complain, too privileged to advocate for others, or too lucky to want better, don't believe that your success cancels your right to speak out against inequality. Your privilege doesn't disqualify you from fighting for those still struggling. And being grateful for what you have doesn't mean accepting less than you deserve. She looked back at Joy, still staring down at her desk. Thank you for having me on the show, Joy. I hope your next interview goes better for both of you. With that, Jennifer walked off the set, leaving Joy alone at the desk, facing a studio full of people who had just witnessed one of the most uncomfortable interviews in television history. Whoopi Goldberg finally broke the silence. Well, that was something, she said quietly into her microphone. We're going to take a quick commercial break. As the cameras stopped rolling, Joy remained seated, staring at the papers in front of her while the audience buzzed with shocked conversation. What was supposed to be a simple promotional interview had turned into a lesson in dignity, advocacy, and standing up for yourself in the face of unwarranted hostility. Jennifer Lawrence had walked onto that set as a movie star promoting her latest film. She walked off as something more, a woman who refused to be diminished, dismissed, or silenced. And Joy Behar was left to consider whether her approach to tough journalism had crossed the line into something far uglier. So, what do you think? Was Joy's approach legitimate journalism, or did she go too far? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories about Hollywood interviews that completely go off the rails.